Hello! Welcome to Iddroyd Goch. I'm Amy, he's Luke.
Welcome to the Red Dragon. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Now we've got a very interesting show all lined up, and hopefully, considering we're actually live, pretty much on time for a change, and so far no real technical niggles other than our starting soon was frozen, this should go without a hitch.
Before you go anywhere, before you do anything, I just want to wish my son a happy birthday for this week. He's 16 this week. He was 16 on the 5th of June.
Happy birthday! I don't know why, I thought it was this weekend it was his birthday.
No, it's on the 5th.
Sorry, I missed it. Happy birthday. We have had absolute loads going on this week, haven't we?
Yes. I was at a D-Day thing yesterday evening for Coisy Higher Community Council. We'll see a bit of that in a little bit. We've had birthdays, you've had medical problems with things, you've had hair problems, if you can't tell everybody, with the new colour of Amy's hair there.
Yeah, at one point last night I was completely ginger. Thank heavens for purple shampoo is all I'm going to say. Right, okay. We're definitely live on YouTube and Twitch. We see you guys. Hi!
Hello.
I don't know what's going on with our Rumble, because yet again our Rumble seems to be playing up. So I'm just going to take a couple of quick seconds to see if we can figure out what on earth's happening here.
While Amy's doing that, I'll give a little rundown of what we're doing today. As you can see, we've changed our background. We've got the Union flag with 80th on it to celebrate and remember the 80th anniversary of D-Day yesterday on the 6th of June. We will be talking about that. That will be our main topic today. We are going to also talk about smoky bacon flavoured crisps.
My swear button's at the ready for that one.
Yeah, Amy's pretty angry about it. Very angry about it. We're going to talk about a couple of other things that have caught particularly my attention. News stories this week. We're not going to spend long on them, but we are going to quickly chat about them. So
yes, I found out what the problem is. So basically we've got a choice. We can either go live on Rumble or we can go live on YouTube and Twitch.
YouTube.
So sorry Rumble, you're going to have to put up with videos being uploaded straight off the bat going forward, because now we know without a shadow of a doubt it has not been me. I'm not the one that's been messing this up.
I find it funny though that other podcasters and YouTubers and things like that can do YouTube and Rumble at the same time.
Yeah, but are they using Streamlabs desktop?
Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
Look,
so
until half an hour ago, it looked like I'd be running this all on my own, which was a complete disaster.
Well,
I've had to have a crash course in how to do things, and I still don't know how to do them. So, yeah.
Right. Long story short, for anyone that's interested, and by all means, if someone knows a workaround on this is the only reason why I'm saying it out here to everybody. So, if I do a custom ingest and I put in all the stream URL and the stream key for Rumble and everything, it'll go straight to Rumble, but it doesn't go to YouTube and Twitch. When I do the normal go live settings, the ones that are recommended by Streamlabs, I've put in the URL, shut up, because someone watching may actually know how to fix this and be able to help me. When I go live normally on Streamlabs though, I've got the URL, I've got the stream key, and it doesn't actually go live on Rumble. It's only going live on YouTube and Twitch. So, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. That one goes live as well. So, if anyone knows the fix, please let me know. Otherwise, in the meantime, Rumble is going to be pre-recorded videos only. Should we just get on with the rest of the show now?
Yeah, let's go for it. Come on.
Right, as Luke mentioned, he did go to a D-Day event yesterday, and this is a little montage of the trip that it took. I'm not going to spoil it any more than that, though. We'll explain it when we get back. Yeah, so you were the one that did it. Do you want to take the lead and explain that?
It wasn't my footage we used. We have to thank our friend Nathan. I can't remember his last name. You keep
Nathan Deere. Thank you, Nathan. Sonic. I always call him Sonic, and anyone that knows is going to be giggling right now because they know exactly why I call him Sonic.
It's not because he's got blue hair.
No.
Well, yesterday, Coity Higher Community Council, we had 3 lamps. They represented the 3 wards of the community: Coity, Richard, and Pendray. They were in to mark the respect for D-Day. They were called the Peace Lamps or Hope Lamps. And we had 3. We lit one at the Red Dragon in Litchard, one at Pendray by the hospital, and the other one at Coity Castle in Coity Ward. On the walk round, because I started in Litchard at Red Dragon, I walked down, we met up with the ones coming from the hospital, and then we all met up at the castle with the other one. It's a sign of respect, and I think it's something we should do, because as we'll go through, the sacrifice should always be remembered by those people who fought to give us our freedom and our liberties that we quite often take for granted nowadays.
Definitely. The sacrifice that both them and their families went through, so that today we've got freedom of speech, we've got the freedom to walk down the street without persecution. We have so many freedoms thanks to them.
And we have the freedom to disagree, which is the big one. Disagree on things, and that's how it should be, because you have disagreements and then you find what the solution between those disagreements are. Exactly.
Unfortunately, the art of disagreeing amicably seems to have disappeared in most people, but some of us are keeping it alive.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that later. I think we should talk a little bit what happened about on D-Day, on the landing.
For people that already know, we're not trying to talk down to you or anything like that, but there's a lot of people these days that they weren't taught about D-Day. It's still not really taught that much in a lot of schools. So for anyone watching that's sort of going, yeah, I've heard a lot about D-Day, what on earth is it? This is for you guys. So everyone else, please bear with us. but we want to make sure that anyone watching is all on the same page as us and knows exactly what it is that we're talking about, especially considering we are talking about how much respect these people deserve. It's important that everyone understands it as well.
Yeah, it certainly is, and as we said, D-Day didn't just happen on the 6th of June. It started back in 1943 with the planning of the operation, and everybody remembers D-Day, the landings on Omaha and Utah Beach, but there were actually 3 other beaches that were landed at that time, not so well publicized in films and things like that, I suppose, but that's Hollywood for you. There were so many sacrifices. But it wasn't just landings on the beach, which a lot of people think. There was airborne divisions that went over hours earlier to drop troops. And if you've ever seen a great TV miniseries, Band of Brothers, you would see what people like who are in the 101st Airborne of Easy Company and others like that went through. A lot of them were dropped in the wrong place because of the flak they were taking in the airplanes. A lot of people lost their lives, airplanes being hit, and a lot of equipment was lost. But they carried on under adverse circumstances. A lot of them even lost their weapons and had to pick up weapons as they went from the jumps. But Chillen, do you want to give a short brief on what led up to the D-Day landings on the 6th of June 1944? Or would you prefer me, because I've done a lot of the research and I do like my history.
I know a bit about it. I know that there was a lot of deception involved, to the point that they actually convinced the Germans that we were going to land in Calais, and we didn't.
Norway was the big one. Operation Fortitude convinced the Germans we were actually going to attack Norway.
One of the landing spots we were supposed to use was supposed to be Calais, as well as Norway, and we came in the other side instead, which they weren't exactly prepared for. One of my favourite little tidbits on this, though, one of our biggest generals at the time was basically put in charge of a team that wasn't going to do anything. He quite literally sat there with this team. They had bombers, they had everything to make it look like they were going to be leading the charge, and they quite literally just sat there and had a holiday for a couple of months, which I love that little tidbit.
I think we should also note that it wasn't just British and Commonwealth forces or American forces.
No, exactly.
There was a lot leading up before that, with the French resistance committing acts of sabotage against the Germans to diminish supplies.
And whilst we're generally speaking not fans of Stalin in particular, but Russia for obvious reasons, it was Stalin that had said for about a year or two beforehand that basically this is exactly what needed to be done, and this was the way to beat Hitler and the regime. And they just kept putting it off, and then they finally went, actually, let's give Stalin's idea a try, shall we? And it paid off.
I think at the time everything seemed to fall into place. They were originally supposed to go on the 5th of June, but fog over the channel disrupted that, so they had to wait till the 6th of June. And they only had a couple of days that they could do this each month, because they used the phase of the moon and the tides. They had to be perfect for what they needed. But apart from that, Hitler had committed a lot of resources and troops to the eastern flank, which was the Russian flank, and it's played into the Allies' hands at that point, and it helped a lot. So there wasn't as much resources or um, backup that they had there or could get there very quickly.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting that one of the big German generals went, well, we've had fog this day, therefore they're not going to show up, it's fine, and went home to celebrate his wife's birthday as we landed.
Yes. Yes. All in all, there was 133,000 troops of Allied forces, both dropped into France via airplanes and landed on the beaches. We seem to forget there were naval soldiers or navy men, sailors. That's the word I'm looking for. Sailors there as well, because it was the ships that took them over from eight different navies, which included the Royal British Navy, the Merchant Navy, other boats and other landing craft, and a lot of them also lost their lives. They weren't on the beaches, but the ships were still being hit by fire from the beach heads, and a lot of ships sank. So it's not just soldiers who gave their lives that day. Airmen, Navy, and soldiers as well all gave their lives in what was the decisive moment that turned the tide of war in favour of the Allies, really.
Exactly.
The other thing, 133,000, there was roughly around 10,900 losses from people who died from the Allied side of the forces, and about equivalent to that was the German losses as well. I didn't have the statistics on the numbers of wounded. I'm sorry, but you can imagine it's going to be probably higher than the death toll, I would have thought, especially on the beaches, on the beachheads. And as I said before, it wasn't just Utah and Omaha Beach, which is where the US zones were, where the US troops landed. There was also three other beaches that the British, Canadian, and Allied Commonwealth forces landed, which were Gold Beach, Juno Beach, and Sword Beach as well. And we quite often forget about them, as I said.
Well, the biggest losses were in Omaha and Juneau, so it is actually a little bit surprising that Juneau normally gets left off that list.
Yeah, it is. And Juneau was particularly Canadians, and I think there was about 1,000 something Canadians who died on Juneau Beach.
1,063 Canadian losses on Juneau Beach, and then there was a further 708 wounded and missing in action.
Yeah,
from Juneau as well.
Yeah, it goes the thing, and there was a big sacrifice that they made to fight against the Nazis and fascists and fascism. And that brings me on to something else I want to talk about, is people use the term fascism and Nazis at the drop of the hat, and things like genocide as well, just at a drop of a hat. And these are very powerful and strong words, and they should always remain that way, to remember the horrors that happen in the world, whether today or in the future. But because they're bandied about now with such abandon, somebody has an opposing point of view to you, regardless of what it is. Oh, they're a fascist or they're a Nazi. It doesn't matter which side it is. And I think we should protect these words and keep them for what they were, to remind us of that, and not just use them so liberally, and just because somebody has an opposing point of view doesn't make them a fascist. Shutting down the opposing point of view, not letting them talk, or not letting them get their point out, that is fascist. because that's what Germany was doing. But fascist originally comes from Italy in the First World War, and that's what they were doing as well, shutting down opposition speech. Only one type of speech was correct. That that's not right. That's not what those people fought for. That's not what people gave their lives for.
No,
It's,
exactly.
and I just think today we should be more careful using those words, because those words are to convey terror and horror, and something that happened that was so bad we still talk about it 80 years on regularly, and think about it 80 years on. So please, out there, whether you from the left or from the right, don't use the term Nazi, don't use the term fascist if somebody disagrees with you. That's not what they are. They're just people who have an opposing opinion. Listen to that opinion, you might find a solution that's in the middle.
Obviously, I will caveat that, not naive. There are genuine Nazis that still live in the world and live amongst us. That is obviously not what Luke's referring to. And no. I 100% agree. If someone is genuinely a Nazi or genuinely a fascist, then, those words are powerful against them. But, yeah, especially... I don't want us going into any politics tonight. We've managed to come up with perfect situation, but with what's going on in the UK right now and America, there's people on all sides throwing those words around, and it makes people tune out. If you're constantly using strong terms that are supposed to be so powerful, people just tune out and stop listening to you. So do everyone a favour and use them properly, use them responsibly.
Yeah. It's not just these terms. We've got other terms like racist and bigot and things like that. They're thrown around with such abandon, people don't pay them attention anymore, when there are true racists, there are true bigots, there are true Nazis, there are true fascists out there. There are people out there actually, well, maybe committing genocide, but that's another thing. But when you throw these terms just at any situation, you take away from the power of what those words are.
Exactly. Yeah. Before we move on to the next topic, though, pair of us, this is always something that's really important to me, and I think I feel safe in saying important to Luke as well, that we are so thankful for everyone that has served past and present. The fact that you go out there risking your lives to keep us all safe, the sacrifices that you and your family do, we're so thankful that you do it.
We are. Both my grandfathers served in the Second World War. One of my grandfathers was in North Africa, the other one was evacuated from Dunkirk. My dad was in the RAF. He was in Cyprus in '74 when the Cypriots and the Greeks and Turks, they kicked off. He was out there then. He was the Falklands as well. My nephew is currently a serving member of the Royal Armed Services, and we have friends who have served in the forces as well. And yes, we thank them for their sacrifice and everything they do. They take up the King's shilling to do that. But we also have to remember it's not just them, it's their families as well. Especially when somebody goes off to war, they don't know if they're coming back. It's an anxious time. We need to support those left at home while the soldiers go to fight in any situation as well.
Exactly. Totally agree. And normally we'd try and go lighter. That was always our plan in creating this podcast. One really serious, one not so serious, and then one really fun, daft, and then Luke trying to make us laugh. However, there's one thing that's come up in the news, so we're going to have to do that a little bit different this week. Although I will say, it is better news than I originally thought when I heard it.
Yes, Amy just doesn't listen to me sometimes. She just hears what she wants to hear, and then, yeah, no, that's not what I said.
To be fair, it wasn't just you. It was you. It was my ex-husband. It was the news. I totally misheard everybody on this one, and I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry. I genuinely really shouldn't laugh. But it was quite funny how apparently multiple different sources had corrected me, and I was just totally oblivious.
Yeah, I've got the article up in front of me. We're not putting the article on the screen.
No, I will say very quickly, this is a sensitive topic that might upset. So if you want to go away for 5-6 minutes,
I talk about that long, to be honest.
It's not going to be very long. It's just something that, if anyone knows anything, we want to make sure that we use the platform for help as well.
Yeah. Right, shall I go for it?
You've got the article, I haven't.
Yeah.
I purposely don't.
Yes, I know. This is an article that appeared on BBC News this week on the 4th of June. It's about an abandoned baby, Elsa, in London, abandoned in the Newham area of London. Now, normally this is something that unfortunately happens far too often in our society, in our world, and there are various reasons for that. We're not judging individuals here or anything else, but this story is a little bit unusual to the normal story of a baby being abandoned. Now, baby Elsa was found earlier this year, abandoned near Newham in London. I believe it's London. Yeah.
Yeah. All three of them were.
But what makes this thing is DNA tests have revealed that she's one of 3 babies since 2017 that have been abandoned by the same parents. And that's what made it jump out to me this time. Normally a story like this, yes, it's heartbreaking, and we wish nothing but the best for the child and the mother or whoever in this circumstances when it's a single baby alone. But the fact that all 3 of these babies over a period of 7 years have the same mother and father, there's something has been going on there. They don't know who the parents are. They still haven't been able to identify them. If anybody does have any information, please contact the Metropolitan Police in London. If you do, not saying you do, but you never know. She was found in January, which is one of the coldest months of the year in the UK, which is not good. She was found by a dog walker, and thank God she was. And she's doing well in the hands of the social services and social care system, as well as she can do, not being with the actual mother and father. But as I said, it's the fact that there's been 3 children abandoned over the 7-year period, all to the same parent, to the same mother and father. Now, I understand if it's a mother on her own, sometimes, especially a young mother, may circumstance it, but this mother and father obviously stayed together over 7 years. So they're in some sort of relationship, whether it's casual, friends with benefits, I don't know, whether it's a long-term relationship.
Yeah, I want to be very careful because there's a lot of hearsay, there's a lot of rumours, and There's one very popular rumour at the moment, which I don't want us getting cancelled for slander, just in case. But it's also really important to note that in all three cases, all three babies were left where they were very, very likely to be found.
Yeah.
Which, all right, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe that's the closest place that they could find with no CCTV. But
it does show, or at least hint at, some sort of compassion for the children.
Exactly. Therefore, there's a very, very good chance that there's something going on where the mother and or father need to get the babies away from where they're born and to a place of safety, and this is their misguided way of doing it, because I don't think anyone can ever say that leaving a baby in freezing temperatures outside on their own is ever the best solution. But
we don't know the actual circumstances.
Yeah, there's clearly something more here than meets the eye. So anyone that does have information, please contact Metropolitan Police, and please keep in mind the fact that we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and we don't know the specific situation behind. I'm going to call them a couple because of the fact that there's 3 children by the same parents. So whether they're, as Luke said, casual or whatever, I'm just going to call them a couple. We don't know if one or both of them have got some serious issues that they're trying to save the children from. So if you know something, please come forward. Please come forward with compassion. Don't hide because you want to protect them from something worse. If everyone know, well, at least if the authorities know exactly what's going on, they can help. And in the extremely unlikely event that the couple see this, please just go and speak to someone in authority to help you get this sorted, if nothing else, so that you're not in a situation where you've constantly got to be giving your children up in dangerous situations.
Because it may just take that one time where somebody doesn't notice or pass by for a child to pass away, unfortunately, especially in that time of year.
Or horrifically worse. I mean, there's not everyone that walks these streets of the UK are innocent people. You know, we've got to look at that as well. These children deserve a good chance, and leaving them in a street, it's not giving them the best chance.
No. Just know there's help out there for whatever your situation is. If you do hear this, please get that help, not just for children's sake, but for your own sake as well. Right, let's get on to something I would say a lot lighter. This one
did my head in. I have been swearing about this one for days, but it's a bit lighter. My button's at the ready.
I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Brave. Okay, so I can't remember which day it was I woke up to this.
But before we start, if there are anybody there with young kids watching in the background, please make them leave the room now, because Amy might not be quick enough with the swear button.
Oh no, I'm going to be quick enough on the swear button. No need for that. Trust me. I'm going to be quick enough on the swear button. Right. So, one day this week, I woke up and on my phone, my Google feed was going a bit mad. And I was like, what's going on? You know, I've turned off a lot of my things. Oh, hello. Sorry, bear with us 2 seconds. I seem to have lost Luke for a second, and I don't know if he's just... I've lost Luke. Luke's in our Discord and he's not on our stream. It's not me for a change. It's definitely not me because I didn't touch the screen yet.
Don't know what's going on.
There, you're back. You're back.
Can people hear me on there?
I'm going to double check just in case.
I blame Amy, regardless.
I didn't touch anything. My hands were... Obviously, I got blackout thing, but my hands were to the side. I wasn't even touching anything. So it's nothing at all to do with me.
It is. It's your negative energy on this story.
Oh, that's just mean. Right, hang on. Right, sorry guys, I'm just making sure that you can actually hear him now, and you're that far behind everywhere when I'm watching. I was turned on to low latency as well, so I don't know why everyone's so far behind.
I do swear that we will get through one of these live streams without any issues whatsoever. One day. That'll probably be our last live stream, mind, but one day.
There we go. Now, yes. I just there got to where you came back in going, can people hear me? Oh, wow. Right. Okay. Sorry, I didn't catch a word of what you just said, but I got a funny feeling you were taking the mickey out of me.
I said one day we'll do a live stream where everything will go perfectly right, everything will work perfectly, and that will be our last ever live stream.
Well, at that point, we can't get any better than that, so, gotta go out on a high. Anyway, right, so back to this. So I was like, why is my Google feed going so mental? Absolutely ballistic. So apparently our favourite crisp flavour in the UK is getting banned right across the EU because of health scares. Right, okay, that in itself, not a big deal to me. I do enjoy Smoky Bacon Crisps, but they're not my favourite, so I don't mind too much.
They're mine.
So Luke minds.
I'm not as annoyed as you about this either.
Which is really funny. That's what makes this so funny, is the fact that it's Luke's favourite and he's annoyed, but he's not that annoyed. It's not my favourite and I... Right. So I held the swear button a little bit longer because I wasn't 100% sure what my second word was going to actually be then. Right. So apparently EU scientists allegedly, after the statement I read, I'm not convinced, scientists have been looking into the chemicals that make up smoke flavour. So to be clear, it's not Smoky Bacon Crisps as the headlines have been saying. It's all the chemicals that go together to make the smoke flavour in Smoky Bacon Crisps, smoked salmon, you name it. If it's got the chemical version of making it taste like that, then that's what we're talking about. All of them are going to be banned right across the EU, which I discovered today and wound me up even more, might actually impact the UK itself as well. But I'll come back to that one later on. Right, so apparently it's research that was done by the European Food Standards Authority, and they discovered a link between artificial smoke flavourings and potential health risks. Okay, fine. So apparently the chemicals that make up the flavouring have the ability to damage the genetic material of cells. I've got to be careful now because I don't want to give too much of this away before I get to explain something. Changes or mutations to the genetic information within a cell may increase the risk of developing conditions. Okay, fine. Now, I'm all for, when smoking first came out, everyone thought it was brilliant. It was great for reducing stress, reducing anxiety, losing weight. Then science caught up and we discovered smoking's actually horrifically bad for you, and not just you, but the people who have to breathe in that smoke. So we're looking at doing different things, making it harder for people to smoke whilst still giving them the ability to. Of course, we've had Sunak a couple of weeks, possibly a month or two ago, trying to bring in about banning people from certain ages so that we end up with smoke-free generations instead of it being a flat out you've got to be 18. You know, I'm all for, if something is that horrifically bad, we make it very, very difficult and or ban it outright. I have no issue with that. Here is the issue I have with this. So, this is a direct quote from the paper, apparently. The paper that's come out that led to the EU banning it. So, changes or mutations to the genetic information within a cell may increase the risk of developing conditions like cancer and inherited diseases. Inherited. For anyone here that doesn't know what inherited means, you're already born with it from parents, grandparents, your family, your ancestors. That means it doesn't matter if all you eat are packs of smoky bacon crisps every day and you eat nothing else. The fact that you've got that condition is in your DNA. You had that condition anyway. You did not get it from eating. Oh, my words are failing me. I am so angry. He's going red because he's trying his best not to laugh at me here. This is exactly why I needed a stream deck for this podcast. Right. Oh my God. Right. I know I sound like I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I can't believe how insane this is, right? Inherited disease. You cannot inherit a disease from eating smoke artificial flavouring. Inherited disease means you got it from your family. How are these people researchers? Oh, I really want to throw something. This has wound me up ever since I saw it. This has done nothing but wind me up. Stop laughing at me. I'm serious.
I had to take my headphones out during that. I really... It was starting to hurt. Oh. Amy's been on her rant. I just let her go there. I didn't interrupt. I didn't say anything. I just let her go.
You know better than to interrupt me when I'm on a tirade.
In fairness, I want to just point out something. I don't think they actually mean you're more likely to get an inherited disease from the smoky bacon. I think what they mean is it's more likely to become active. But they didn't make that clear in the report.
That's not what they've said in the report. That is not what they've said. If they'd said that, I'd be like, right, okay, yeah, there's some diseases that can hide in the DNA and stuff, and they don't come out until a lot later on, or they need to get triggered to come out and stuff. I just realised that sounds like werewolves or something, doesn't it? That's not... That's not what I'm on about. But there are diseases out there that get triggered later in life with certain things. There's
Parkinson's, things like that.
Yeah. All right, I get that. And if they'd said that they're more likely to trigger these diseases at an earlier age or something similar, that's fine. That's not what they said.
No, and this is the problem with research. Res- when people publish research like this, obviously they know what they mean, but they don't put it in such a way that the normal people, me, Amy, probably even more dumbed down for Amy at this point.
Hey!
um,
I can mute you.
yeah, I know. Uh, yeah, well, I'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah, they need to be clear on what they actually mean, so it's clear to everybody what they actually mean. I think is what I've said is what they mean, that it could be, or what Amy said, that it could be triggered earlier, or you're more likely to suffer with an inherited disease that you've inherited from a family member. But that's not what they said. They specifically say in the research that you're likely to get an inherited disease, which you inherit a disease from a pig. I can find truffles now.
I mean, seriously, it's the way
Although,
it is, the
hang
way
on,
it's written.
although I will say the state of my flat at the moment, I probably have inherited some pig traits.
That's my big issue with this, right? Is when these things come out and they come out to the general public, you know, they're written. They need to be written in ways that people can cite them and people can understand them. And at the end of the day, right, let's say that, right, if you've got an inherited risk of Alzheimer's, okay? You've got an inherited risk of Alzheimer's. The more smoky bacon crisps you eat, the bigger the chance that it'll trigger early, because of the way these chemicals mutate in your cells and trigger issues. The chemicals prefer brain cells. I don't know, right?
Bit like smoking. If your family's got a history of lung cancer, if you smoke, you're more likely than a normal smoker who doesn't have a history to develop lung cancer.
Yeah.
Which they've made clear throughout history. So,
Yeah.
throughout when come out. But that's not what they've made clear today in the
Yeah.
research of they.
Exactly. So if it's something like that, right? Those people that are at that risk deserve to know, look, yes, they may be your favourite crisps, but reduce the amount or stop altogether having this particular thing that's going to increase your chance of it developing early or increase the chance of it developing at all. If it's one of those inherited diseases that yes, you've inherited it, but there's only a small chance of it actually becoming active. You need to explain it to them in a way so that they're likely to follow along with this advice. By just flat out saying, oh, it's going to increase your chances of getting an inherited disease, you sound stupid. People are not going to take it seriously, and at the end of the day, it's going to look and sound like a nanny state. Now, we've got enough people in Wales alone screaming about how Wales is a dictatorship. We've had people screaming for years now. I'm willing to bet, if I actually look at it properly, it's at least a decade, that the EU is a dictatorship wanting to come out properly or whatever. This crap doesn't help, guys. This really doesn't help. You look stupid, people tune out, people don't listen, and it diminishes research and important information, all because you can't be asked actually writing it down in a way that people will understand and be able to cite.
Yeah, and it doesn't just relate to smoky bacon crisps. It relates to a lot of things, and I suppose especially climate change, with some of the claims that have been made over the year. If we listen to, I think is it Bob Dole in 2012, We're
Yeah.
not supposed to be here now. The world would have ended. He said it 5 years before the world ended, and things
And
like
that's
that.
the thing. It turned
When
people off climate change
yeah,
arguments. It stopped people from actually wanting to do stuff because you took an absolute stupid extreme and made it sound like fact. And when it was proven that no, it's not a fact, people thought that the entire thing was a lie. Oh, I'm doing my best now to shut up because that really, in one breath, I've been looking forward to being able to rant about this topic. In the next breath, I knew how angry it makes me. And the daftest bit is, like I said, I'm not even that big of a fan of Smoky Bacon Crisps.
whereas I am. I love me smoky bacon crisps and Frazzles as well. There are other crisp manufacturers out on the market.
But the reason that this could end up impacting the UK, now we're out of the EU, so
I missed that part. So
yeah, so we're out of the EU. So in theory, this ban doesn't matter. But where's the border for EU?
Northern Ireland.
Which means Smoky Bacon Crisps are going to be banned in Northern Ireland.
Maybe
That's part of the agreement is to make sure that things you can't basically pop over the border, pop into, I'm going to say Tesco's because I assume Tesco's is in Ireland. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I don't know any shop names for Ireland, but pop into your local Northern Ireland Tesco's, grab whatever's illegal in Ireland and smuggle it back over the border. So many things had to get stopped and put in place and stuff. Therefore, Smoky Bacon Crisps, artificial smoke flavouring is more than likely going to end up having to be banned in Northern Ireland. Well, if that's the case, then there's a very good chance that it'll come to the rest of the UK just for manufacturing ease. So whereas it may not be a legal ban, it might just be a case of we might not be able to get it here because it's more convenient for I was going to say manufacturers. I know that's not actually the one I want though. Distributors. It'd be more convenient for distributors to go, you know what, it's just easier not to hold it, just in case some end up accidentally over in one of those stores.
I will say, firstly, there are other stores available in Northern Ireland.
Yes, there's plenty of other stores.
If they're only banned in Northern Ireland, that doesn't affect me. I live in Wales, so I'm okay with that. But the biggest country that this will actually have an effect on is Ireland, because they produce that flavouring for the crisps.
Yeah.
And they said it's worth about £43 billion to them.
Yeah.
Or 43 billion euros to the economy of Ireland. So, yeah. I love you going. I get it on WhatsApp quite a lot. Amy messaging me, I'm going on a rant.
Yeah, I've had 2 or 3 this week, haven't I?
I don't know. I tune them out after a time.
We're not going to say what the conversation actually was or anything like that. But I messaged Luke a very short, sharp message, and he immediately looked at it and went, "Well, Amy," and went, "What happened?" And I'm there typing away. And after a couple of minutes, he goes, "Oh my God, you've been typing for ages. Something really bad happened."
Yeah, I remember. Generally, when Amy goes on a rant, and I can tell she's getting into one of her rants, she'll just get, "Okay, all right," and that's it. And she still carries on. She doesn't realise that I've tuned out at that point.
I'm fully aware of the fact that you've tuned out. That's why I carry on, because I'm like, well, he's not listening anyway. I can get it out of my system. It's fine. I do it to my ex-husband as well still. Literally, I can't remember what it was, but I was ranting about something the other night, and he was sat at his desk, I was sat at mine, and I'm just there ranting and ranting and ranting, and at one point he turned around and went, "You're still ranting? Oh right, sorry." I'm like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry, I'm just getting it out of my system.
Right. Well, we were going to lead it with something else that happened in the EU. We were going to discuss it, but I'll just mention it quickly. We won't discuss it. McDonald's have lost the patent to
Trademark. Not patent, their trademark.
The trademark for the term Big Mac for anything that's poultry or fish in the EU now.
Yeah, so they got it in 1996. Just as a very quick overview, they got it in 1996, basically covering events, poultry, fish, burgers, anything and everything. They trademarked Big Mac for. And it's actually a company in either Ireland or Northern Ireland. It was Ireland. There we go. Company in Ireland took them to a court in Europe, basically going, they shouldn't be allowed to trademark. Chicken burgers was the big one, but it covered basically everything other than what we know as the traditional Big Mac, because they haven't used it enough. And if it's anything at all, it is the biggest and best example of use it or lose it.
Yeah.
McDonald's learned that one the hard way.
Well, yeah. Well, they don't really use it for poultry or fish or events, so I don't think it's going to affect them really.
I know we've got quite a few sitting around and viewing and everything, so someone please pop up in chat. I'm sure, wasn't there a chicken Big Mac?
Yeah,
I'm sure last year.
Ireland.
No, in the UK as well.
Oh, what's that?
I'm sure I haven't dreamt this. I'm sure they did chicken Big Macs last year. Someone help me here. I know there's like 30 of you across the channels. Someone help me out.
No,
I don't think. Yeah, I'm sure that was a thing. I'm sure it was. Ever since you told me about McDonald's losing the trademark, I googled it and I can't find it anywhere. I'm positive that was a thing though. Anyway, right, yes. So that's all we wanted to say on that one. I wanted the opportunity to say use it or lose it.
That's all.
That's the only reason I agreed to that topic.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well, we've come to the end of the show now, haven't we?
Are you going to try and make me and viewers laugh, or
if we've got about 3 minutes?
Yeah, come on.
Go on. Right. First of all, I need to preface this.
Preface.
It's preface. It's preface. We're gonna have an argument about terminology.
Right, as soon as this live stream's over, I'm googling this. I've always been told it's preface. I'm gonna preface this.
Oh, I heard a beep or something.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Threads. Someone's tagged me in something in Threads.
Well, saying it's preface.
Let's have a look.
Anyway, going back, we had a wonderful presenter in the UK called Terry Wogan. He used to host the Children in Need charity night. He had a Radio 2 programme. He had a #1 hit record in the 70s. And he's had his own talk show. Now, on his Radio 2 show, he used to read stories called Janet and John. Now, Janet and John are adult versions of the Dick and Jane first reader books for children. So I've got one of those stories here today, and I thought I would...
Oh, he might actually get me on this.
Right. I can't do it as well as Sir Terry Wogan, rest in peace. Much loved and missed. Anyway, this is called Janet and John Go to a Firework Display. This evening, Janet and John are going to a firework display. Do you like fireworks? John does. John is so excited that he nearly forgets to take the heated rollers out of his beard. See John skip down the road to the park holding Janet's hand. Are you allowed to cross the road on your own? John isn't. Soon, Janet and John reach the park. There is a big crowd, a huge bonfire, and lots of stalls selling hot dogs, burgers, and fizzy pop. John was so excited that he couldn't manage to eat his tea. John is hungry. Poor John. May I have a hamburger, please? Says John. See Janet get her purse out and give John some money. John walks over to the burger van. See the hardened arteries. In the queue for the burger van, John sees Melanie Fontage. Hello, Mrs. Fontage, John says. Hello, Johnny, Melanie Fontage, says Melanie Fontage. Are you looking forward to the fireworks display? Yes, says John. I can't wait. I love fireworks. Melanie Fontage says there are really big displays out on the heath tomorrow. It's a bit cold and you can see the whole thing from my flat. Why don't you pop around? Kind Mrs. Fontage. John collects his burger from Mrs. Dickens, who is serving in the van. Silly John forgot to ask for some tomato ketchup. See John go back to get some ketchup. Mrs. Dickens says, sorry John, there is no more ketchup, but you can have some tomato relish. Pop round to the back of the van and I'll get you some. Thank you, Mrs. Dickens, says John. John goes back to meet Janet. Did you get something to eat? Janet says. Yes, says John. I got a lovely big hamburger from Mrs. Dickens. Then I asked her for a bit of sauce and she told me to come around the back of the van and palm me off with some relish. Then Melanie Fontage said that it might be a bit cold, but if I wanted to, I could come and enjoy a wonderful display from her flat out on the heath tomorrow evening. See the fireworks. Do you know what an uppercut is? Janet does. See John sitting on the ground looking at pretty stars. Poor John. Janet and John. Oh, no, that's a different story. Sorry.
Did you say there's a second one as well?
There is. Well, there's loads, actually. I might do one every week, if that's okay. But I love that. She palmed me off with some relish.
Oh, dear Lord.
You can buy these books. I think they're on Amazon. But, yeah, it's the innuendo. And Terry Wogan does so much better, and there's lots of him on YouTube reading the stories. Yeah. Please go watch them. They are so funny.
They really are, to be fair. Right. Are you going to do the last one?
No, I'm not going to do the second story because we're nearly 5 minutes over now already.
Right. Okay. You're going to hold off.
Yes.
I am going to say I'm classing this one as a cheat because it's actually Terry Wogan that made me grin and nearly laugh out loud.
Maybe I should play his ones doing it every week.
Well, it'd have to be me doing that, but yeah. We can certainly have a look.
Yeah.
Right. I think we've covered everything, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Okay. That's about time. Put my teeth back in. That's what happens when I swear so much. I start losing all ability to speak correctly.
Yeah, Amy only has so many words a day, and I think she used them all in that 5 minute
tirade
about Smoky Pink and Flavor Grey. Sorry, I just...
To be clear, because I think I did sort of lose it a little bit because I kept referring to Smoky Bacon Crisps because that's what all the headlines say. It is the smoke flavour, okay? It's the smoke flavour.
But I don't like
anyway.
Salmon, so I don't care about that.
You can get smoked salmon that's not flavouring. It is genuinely smoked, but
I don't like salmon.
Stop getting hung up on the salmon. Right, anyway.
Stop getting hung up on the inherited diseases.
Right, that's about all we have time for this week. Don't forget to check out Social's link in the description of the video. I do my best to make sure that the podcast is up no later than Sunday evening. I've done it quite well a couple of times, and then last week I think I got it just under the 48-hour timescale I gave myself. So yeah, within 48 hours it'll be up, it'll be live on Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Pocket Casts, Apple, YouTube. It'll be up on all of them.
Right,
YouTube podcast.
Podcast. I was going to say you're taking away from my bit of talking at the end now, adding YouTube and that.
Yeah, no, YouTube podcasts. I don't know how it works because Google Podcasts is apparently going away. But YouTube told me, oh, if you've got this RSS feed, you can put your podcast here. So I went, okay. And now everything's all confused. But
I don't think they said
there
it
somewhere.
quite like that in such a high-pitched voice. But, yeah. Anyway, all the videos will be on YouTube and Rumble to watch at your discretion. Like, share, subscribe, and if there's a notification box, please tick that. It helps in the algorithm and keeps you up to date with it whenever we've got another video on there. Because we will do live streams, but we will do other things eventually as well when we've sorted out all the gremlins, which never happened.
Week before last, I was really good at uploading a reel for everybody every single day. This week, not so much. Eventually, we'll get into a rhythm. But I'm still building our intro. We're on episode 4, 5.
4.
We're on episode 4, and I'm still building our intro. It was supposed to have been ready for today, but I've been so busy with everything else to do with the podcast because it went live early.
And today was the actual day we were supposed to go live for the first time.
It was.
I will say we've got a special tomorrow, a general election special. We're going to be talking about the debates that have happened this week on Tuesday between the leaders, and then the interviews after with the other group leaders. The debate tonight, which seems to be the deputies and Nigel Farage, however you take that. The debate tonight, and we're going to be talking about Vaughan Gething as well, because it's not been a good week for him.
Not at all. Guys, definitely, especially for the general election special, we want as many opinions and everything as we can get in. So if you're not happy to come on the stream, drop us messages. We're always in the Discord, or an email, or Facebook message, Instagram message, whatever. Everything's all in that one link. Use whichever one you want to use, but drop us a message and we'll read it out and discuss it. Or if you want to come on, more than welcome. I've now sorted it out so Luke doesn't know this. Everyone else is finding out the exact same time as Luke. I can have, including me and Luke, up to 12 people on the screen at the same time.
Did you know how I knew that?
How?
Because when you were setting up earlier, in case you didn't arrive, and I will say, it is a little insulting. She's got a backup if I'm not on. Not just one backup, but 6 backup.
I do.
Me, I was going to have to do this stream on my own because I can't invite somebody who hasn't been a guest already.
I didn't say that. I said that there was one particular guest host you'd suggested that I think is going to be absolutely hilarious, and I want to be here when they're a guest.
Yes, and
Anyone else is fine. I don't mind. It's just that one. I want to make sure that I'm on here when they're a guest, because every time I've seen you interview them on your old channel, it was always mayhem.
Yeah, it wasn't due to technical difficulties either.
No, it was normally because they've got a particular mug and they're drinking tea or coffee. Trust me, they're not. I love them to bits, though. I think they're absolutely flipping marvellous.
The people who know us and know this person will know exactly who it is now, because
hey,
and our friends...
I know 3 people that do it, but yeah, I think all our friends will go, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and I think all our friends now are going to be upset with you that you think this person is hilarious and not them.
Oh, I think all of them are hilarious, and they know I absolutely adore all of them.
That's not what you just said. That's not what you just said.
All our friends know that I absolutely adore them. Don't try gaslighting and causing trouble now, mate. But this one, he always says something. Everyone else, they behave themselves, which is lovely, it's great, but they behave themselves.
I don't know. A guest we're hoping to get on soon, not talk about politics, talk about something else. He doesn't often behave himself either.
True. He's just been behaving himself a lot lately.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well, yeah, it depends who you ask.
Although I did see him last night and he went to one of our friends. I think I've done something naughty.
I'm turning off the stream before you say the rest of this.
I'm not going to say anything else. That's it.
Right. Guys, come and join us for the general election special tomorrow. If you want to come in, by all means, it'll be a good bit of laugh.
At 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, 5 p.m. tomorrow, because I'm going out in the evening and I ain't missing my drinking time. So 5 o'clock.
I don't get to go out, so I'll stay on if she buggers off. Oh, sorry. Beep.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was good with that.
I don't have a beep button.
Let's let everybody go and chill and have a good night.
Enjoy your Friday, everyone.
Enjoy your Friday night. We will see you all tomorrow, 5 p.m. for our general election special. If you don't want to tune in because you're fed up with the politics, I can't really blame you. We will see you 6:30 next Friday for another normal episode of Either I Go.
Well, we hope normal.
Well, it's normal by our standards, Luke. Normal by our standards.
Yeah. Okay.
North Star!